Hi, this is Pucci, and today I'll show you how to create beautiful portamento pads and chords with the Moog Sub 37. The Sub 37 is monophonic, and in this video I will not show you a magical way to turn it into a polysynth. However, I will demonstrate a classic recording technique to create polyphonic content with monophonic synthesizers. Okay, let's start by creating a sound on the Sub 37. I have my initial preset dialed up. I'll just turn up a second sawtooth, turn it up 1 octave. Maybe slightly change the beat frequency and the frequency itself. Just a little bit. Okay, turn the filter to a slope of 12 dB and dial it down. Okay, very basic sound. And I'll turn up the glide time. Maybe a bit more to get a more dramatic effect. Then down oscillator 2 a bit. Quickly check my variance parameter in the global menu. It was at 25%, maybe a bit too much. I'll go down to 15% of variance. Now we have a very basic sound, but it will work fine to demonstrate this technique. And if you experiment with this kind of chord creation, you will find out that the results vary heavily depending on the sound which you use. And it's really fun to try it with all sorts of sounds and find out how it sounds at the end. So let's try this one. Okay, I prepared a little chord progression here, which is played by a piano right now. Now I want to let the Sub 37 play this, but as it's monophonic, of course, it cannot play all 4 notes of the chords at the same time. So what I have to do is split it up into 4 individual MIDI clips and record 4 individual audio clips, which I then can join together. So I copy the chord progression, and the first thing I'll do is I'll mute 3 of the 4 notes of one chord by using the 0. I'll do the same thing for the second chord, but instead of moving from C to E up here, I'll move way up here to really make use of the portamento or glide or slide function on the Sub 37. So there's lots of movement between the first and the second note, and that will go for all 4 of them. So there will be lots of movement and a very dynamic pad at the end. So let's mute this one and these 2 and go back down here. So this is the first MIDI pattern. I'll duplicate it. And the first thing I'll do with the duplicate, I'll delete the notes that have already been played. And now I'll select different notes just by selecting them and hitting 0 to activate them. So this is the second clip. And here comes the third clip. Again, deleting the notes that have already been played. And now I'll choose this, 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 and this. and again duplicate, delete, and activate those that are left. So now we have 4 MIDI clips, and every note of the original chord progression, which is here, has been played at some point. So now what we'll have to do is record 4 individual audio clips with these 4 MIDI clips. And here comes the strength of the advantage of recording chords with monophonic synthesizers. Because if I just record this chord progression with a polysynth, every one of these 4 notes would pretty much do the same thing. Maybe there would be a variance in filter and perhaps LFO speed, depending on the synthesizer you're using, but more or less, all of these do the same at the same time. When you do record them individually, you have way more control about the individual voice. You can now change the individual voices slightly or even dramatically to create very lively and interesting chords and pads. So let's now record the first MIDI clip. And of course, I can also tweak the sound live while recording to make it even more interesting. So I'll do nothing fancy, just a little bit of filter tweaking to accentuate the chord progression. Let's try this. Okay, that was the first clip. Before I record the second one, I will now slightly change the parameters of the sound. You can also do it totally dramatically or even use another sound, but I'll stick with the sound and just, change the fine tune, the cutoff, and some of the other parameters that I used just a little bit to make it different to the first voice and to make the chord that we have at the end more interesting to the ear. Okay, just some tiny changes to the sound. Let's record the second clip. Nice. Again, change the sound a little bit. And we're ready to record number 3. Some more changes for the last time. And here we go. Okay, now I have 4 individual audio clips with 1 voice of the chord each. And I'll just create 3 more audio tracks and I'll place one of the clips on each audio track. And I'll group them. Turn down the volume of the group a bit. Oh yeah, turn the warp algorithm to tones and activate fade. So hopefully there will be no clicks. Maybe put in some reverb, mute the other channels, and now let's take a listen at our Moog Sub 37 Portamento pad. Yeah, that's pretty nice. I kind of spread the voices in the stereo panorama to make it even wider. And of course, now you can add effects to each individual voice or the group, like chorus, flanger, reverb, delay, whatever comes into your mind. And the nice thing about this is you have now the possibility to tweak each voice of the chord individually with effects. So this is a very simple example of this technique, but you can really go to town with this by, altering the sound of the individual voices dramatically, or even combining various voices and then editing and processing these individual voices with effects and whatnot. So this is a very, very powerful technique to create chords and pads with the Sub 37 or any other monophonic synthesizer. That was my Sub 37 Portamento pad tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, leave me a comment, give me a like, subscribe to the channel, and if you want to support me on the long term, head over to Patreon and become a patron. Thanks for watching, see you soon.